Hey guys, how's it going? This is Jeff making another video here on the subject of island fever, and it's in response to Island Finance Guy. He says, "Hey Jeff, love the videos. It's always a nice feeling to come home after work and see that you've uploaded something from your unfiltered point of view. I think you have touched on the subject before, but could you do a video of maybe your experience with island fever and how you think the best way to get around it or how to be cured of it?" Well, yeah, this happens. I actually had people tell me today they thought they had island fever, and okay, so let's just say you're the type of person who's looking to relocate. You have this dream of paradise. You're going to move to Hawaii. You got, I don't know, $400,000 in the bank. You sold your last house and you want to buy property in Hawaii, and you're going to build your dream home in paradise, right? Sounds all good in theory. I mean, that's like the dream, right? But in reality, that's something to keep in mind. Now, I think island fever for sure. Like I said, I've already touched on it again. I'm in even Universal or Island Finance Guy recognized that I've already made a video about this, but to delve into it a little bit more in detail. It's possible to really enjoy Hawaii if your family's here. I think that's you either have to have really best friends, you're like your best friends, or your family. But you have to, if you're coming here with your significant other and your kids, you're gonna have that new person location thing that you're gonna have to get new friends. Fortunately, people in Hawaii are very friendly. You can make friends in Hawaii pretty easy. That's gonna help offset some of the island fever stuff that sets in about at least 6 months into it. The first 6 months, well, it depends on the island too. Like, I found that Maui is a little bit easier to get island fever than the Big Island. The Big Island is one of those islands that might take longer to set in. But here in Maui, for sure, island fever is possible early on. And I know it's been said on Oahu and Kauai the same thing. If you're, no matter how beautiful these places are, time after time, if it's just you going back to the same beach. I mean, I can only go to Kamole Beach so many times and watch so many sunsets over the span of a week or a month or whatever before it's just the whole appeal just gets kind of and if I'm doing it, if I'm not sharing it with somebody or family or friends, like, sure, if I'm doing a cookout, then it just matters who I'm with, not where I'm at, right? Because I mean, if I'm in Hoboken or some town, Juneau, Alaska or something, and I got my family with me, I'm happy, at Christmas. But if I'm all by myself in Hawaii at Christmas, I'm like, I'm all by myself in Hawaii. And everyone's telling me, "Oh, you're so lucky. You're blessed. You're living in Hawaii." And I'm like, "Yeah, but I miss my family." It's beautiful in Hawaii at Christmas, but if it's more about who you're with, who you're spending it with. That's my number one way to like really offset the island fever. It's making sure that you're around people, because then it becomes more about who you're with. And then if you're who you're with in paradise, you can go to the same beach a million times if you're doing cookouts, because everyone's there talking and you're not just focused on the scenery. So be sure to have some sort of like friends or family nearby, or both. That's probably the number one thing that you probably want to be thinking about when you're getting ready, is how often or how many people you're going to know around you long term. Like I said, people are friendly, so it's easy to meet people. There's going to be people just like you transplant. Another thing that I found, me personally, being that my family all lives in another state, and my best friend that used to live here, he moved back to Arizona with his brother. They were here for a year and a half, but they got, I guess you could say, island fever, and they left. And because I had been building a business over here, I was like, well, I can't just abandon my business. See you guys. And but at the same time, I had also met people on the Big Island that I was like also becoming really good friends with. Now over here on Maui, I know some people, but to say that they're really good friends. I've only known them for a couple months. I mean, how long does it take to get to know somebody? It takes a little bit longer than a couple months. And, you know, so that's something to keep in mind. But the thing that I would say is routine. I think having a steady routine, like for me, when I was in Kona, I used to wake up, I used to go down to the pier, I'd go for a swim, get a shower. That was always like a refreshing thing to do. I'd grab my cup of coffee, I'd get my breakfast, then I'd go and I'd work. Then at lunch, I would go to one of my favorite restaurants and have lunch. And that was a systematic process that I followed. And I think the only problem with that is the quality of the food. So like food for me was really important, and I think it's, if you can find a way to get quality food and cook it yourself, or find quality restaurants that you really enjoy eating at, that might be a great solution for that routine, because food was playing a factor in the island fever, believe it or not. I mean, I think you go a little bit irritated if you're getting like low quality grade food, meat, or whatever. But the repetition, you know, it was like, okay, at 4 o'clock, I'm off work, I'll go for a run. And then, you know, you have a system in place, and you just follow that system, and you don't really have, you're just living a lifestyle. It becomes more about the lifestyle. Then on the weekends, you could do water activities, you could go out boating, you know, and that's some things. If you have these hobbies and stuff, and just routines, repetitions that you follow all the time, you're going to not struggle with island fever. But if you don't have a set routine of things that you like to do for your lifestyle habits, whether it be surfing or boating or working out or running or hanging out with friends, I mean, you're gonna fall into a situation where you're gonna be like, oh man, I think I'm in paradise, but I think I'm bored. This is what happens to people. You could say, well, oh man, what kind of weenie head gets bored in Hawaii? Like, be grateful. Yeah, well, okay, it happens. You know, what are we gonna do? You know, it happens to the best of them. You know, it happens to the whoever. But then again, some people, I think, if you build your house, like if you're building a house here in a community and you're becoming friends with the community, then it's just about the community. You know, you're in there with the community. So you have to have that sense of community. And a lot of people who get island fever, I think, never get really a sense of community, so they get bored. Because if you're just leaning on a small island being, you know, your source of entertainment, or, you know, what makes you happy, at some point in time it's going to lose its novelty, it's going to lose its appeal. But that's why you have to have those, like if you're a surfer, like maybe you go out every morning, maybe 3 times a week in the morning, you know, and surf. If you're a bodyboarder, same thing. If you're a swimmer in Kona, here, I don't know about swimming. It's not so popular. People don't really swim out here because it's turbid water, you know, and turbid water, we already went into what that means. For those of you who do not know what turbid water means, go watch my video on sharks. Yeah, because sharks, they don't know what you are. They're not man-eaters, but if they don't know what you are and the water's muddy, I mean, they'll think you're a turtle. Whereas in Kona, it's like clear water, so that's why you never hear of shark attacks in Kona, because it's clear water. They don't mistake you for something that you're not. Whereas here, it's muddy water. It's turbid water. So, I mean, to be cured of island fever, you just have to have a lifestyle, that routine. When I first got to Maui, my routine, it's still actually the same. Every morning I wake up, I go for a walk to get coffee. Now I got a moped. I take my moped, which allows me to go longer distance. Although the reason I like walking is because it gets the blood flowing, you know? So I like to walk. Then in the afternoon, I'll usually go for a run, you know? So those two things in between my work, having a job, you know, my work, that's always, I mean, you don't have time for island fever. Yeah, in my mind, I'll be like, do I want to go to the beach? Yeah, but I've already been to that beach a lot. You know, it's kind of like even McKenna. Like, I don't want to go there too many times, because I know if I go too many times, it's just going to become, it's not going to be the same as the first or the second or the third time I went there. right? So, but if I have friends there and we're hanging out and maybe having a couple of drinks and a good laugh, that's fun. That's why friends are important. Family is like the main catalyst because that's you've known them for a long time. Friends, unless you've known them since high school or something or for many years, it's new friends. I like new friends, but the best friends are friends you've known for a long time. Those are like those are the people I really enjoy company with, whether it be friends or family. So if you're thinking of coming here, you have to take that in consideration. I mean, if you're just going to buy a cookie cutter home in one of these retirement communities or a community where the house is the same, you can't, like, for me, I know for a fact if I was farming or ranching or doing something like that, growing my own food, or that would be a part of my lifestyle. That would be something fun. Like, I yearn for that. I would like to farm and take advantage of the weather and grow my own food, and have my own property that I cared for, and wake up on a Saturday morning and mow that big old piece of property, right? That's fun. That to me is fun. Check on my crops, make sure they're growing strong, make sure they're healthy, stuff like that. That's what's fun for me. Maybe taking on a weekend project to do something like build something, build anything, right? There was other things like now that I got my scooter, I'm thinking about taking on a hobby of bicycle, motorbikes and stuff like that. So finding other hobbies is really important. I just don't see myself getting into surfing too much. But I got into film and photography. That was something that I did. Obviously, this YouTube channel is something that I did. Exercise can be a big part of it. This is a beautiful place to exercise. There's no doubt about that. So boating. I would love to get a boat. I'd love to get a boat and just go out. But even a stand-up paddleboard doesn't interest me like a boat does. I actually would like to get a boat. I thought about getting into sailing. Sailing interests me. But a lot of these require a lot of money. Like to get a boat in Hawaii can cost you a lot of money unless you're just getting a skiff. I could get a skiff, but that's not necessarily the safest thing for a rookie mariner in Hawaii. I mean, this isn't like the lake. This is Hawaii. They get big currents out here. Yeah, obviously you don't have to go out every day, but if you go to Ma'alea Harbor, you'll see that place is windy, and that's where the boats are. I mean, and I've never been there when it wasn't windy. It's like a wind. I mean, Maui is a windy place. Kona did not have nearly as much wind as Maui. I would say that Maui's beautiful for sure. It's like I'm looking at the skies right now. It's blue, everything. I'm seeing like blues and greens and just bright colors, and it's lights up your senses. It gets you happy. Just that alone is a nice thing. And you step outside and it just feels like amazing. It feels great. I mean, it's a perfect place to do exercise. Couldn't ask for better weather. But yeah, I mean, you're asking about island fever. Those are basically my recommendations. And thanks for asking the question, by the way, Island Finance Guy. And if anyone else has questions, feel free to ask, and I'll look forward to responding to them as they come up. So have a good day, guys.